Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
And welcome to the show. Amy Armstrong joins us again as our conflict resolution specialist, the Center for Family Resolution from Columbus, Ohio. She joins us today live. Excited to have her here on the Zoomcast. How are you?
Thank you, Jill. I'm here. I'm ready to go. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much. Let's talk a little bit about the Center for Family Resolution and what that offers. I know coaching, meditation, there's a lot of parenting work. And as parents, I could benefit from this as well as all of those out there watching too. Could you share a little bit?
Sure. I think if I did the math right, you have a 10-year-old son, right?
Just turned 9. Yeah.
Turned 9.
It gets me confused too. That's okay. Yeah. And the other one's turning 7 next month. So, whew.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Well, I'm sure you can relate just like the listeners. People are exhausted and so tired of being in conflict. It doesn't feel good. Takes the fun out of our day. And my whole purpose behind my company is that life should be engaging and enjoyable. And there's just no reason that our relationships should be full of conflict. But Jill, you know this, conflict is here to stay. We need better skills to deal with it.
Yes, true.
Yeah. We can't expect the conflict to go away.
Sometimes we get conflicts that are unnecessary in our lives, but we got to learn how to work through them, like family members. Just saying.
Oh my gosh, I still have people that are reeling from what happened over the holidays. Yeah, and this is mid-January.
I'm sure there's a lot. The in-laws, the stress, the anxiety. Go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt. Just thinking personally.
Oh my gosh, of course. I think everyone can instantly come up with a story about conflict that it leaves us so uncomfortable. And like you said, sometimes it's so senseless.
Yeah.
A lot of the work I do, Jill, has to do with co-parenting. So when we're working with a situation where our children live in 2 separate homes and we have to coordinate care and schedules and money going across 2 homes. And it is complicated. So the Center for Family Resolution originally was born out of a need for courts to have resources to send folks who are separating and divorcing and really getting stuck on the co-parenting.
Co-parenting, that's a hard one.
Can be.
I have a son by myself, the first one, the second one with someone else, and never thought it would be so difficult. We never lived together, never married, but wow, it is difficult. And
you don't know what's going to come up because these are children, right? They're going to change every day. And so we have to change along with them. And often that means butting heads with the person that we're parenting with.
Got it. Oh, so give us some of these tips. What should we be doing? How can we handle this?
Yeah. Jill, number 1 by far is boundaries. We have to have that good conversation with ourselves that says, what am I willing and able to do here? I have, for example, a mom that complains about getting constant texts and emails from her children's dad, and she wants me to make him stop. And I had to work with her and say, I can't keep him. We can't control anyone except ourselves. So she developed a boundary that told him when she was willing and able to read his messages and respond to them. And she got down to once a week. So for her, a boundary was such a relief because she quit trying to get him to change his behavior. And instead, she changed her own. And she was able to control that.
Wow, this is beneficial. I didn't realize you could do that because we keep trying to change the other person, but never goes.
So number 1 is boundary.
I was going to say, so could you give us some examples of how this works?
For sure. So the big point here, Jill, is that we're all reactive as human beings. We've got this threat response. When we feel like someone's coming at us or someone's threatening us, whether it's in a big way like safety or in a small way that just leaves us feeling frustrated or powerless, we want to take that step back, even if we only have a few seconds to breathe and to say, what am I really willing and able to do here? And come up with a step that feels like pro me instead of anti-you, right? So we're doing what we need to take care of ourselves rather than trying to change or push away another person.
Mm-hmm.
And what that does is just in those few seconds, I mean, ideally we have minutes or hours to check in with our support people and really take it easy and develop a plan. But as you can imagine, sometimes we don't have the luxury of a long time. So
Mm-mm.
so even in a few seconds, we can take some breaths. We can remind ourselves that you are in charge. You're in charge of this moment, and you get to choose how you're going to react. And so those boundaries really become a time to recenter in our clarity and in our confidence. I do run a program for co-parents that really need a lot of support with this. Maybe they've had years in self-doubt where their confidence has been shaken, the rug's been pulled out from under them so many times. We get together as a group and spend a lot of time learning and working on boundaries. But the bottom line is everyone can come up with boundaries that are simply what we're willing and able to do in the moment to safeguard our dignity, to safeguard our well-being, and to keep us breathing. Then once we develop our boundaries, we want to make a commitment. And this is a commitment to, if I may say, not treat the other person like an idiot or a wacko. We've got to make a commitment to present ourselves in a way that truly demonstrates that we understand this other person is entitled to their own perspective. Jill, this is so hard. It's so hard,
It
even though I've
is.
been practicing it for years. But once that happens, where we develop our boundaries and we have this commitment to treating other people just like a human being, they don't have to be our best friend. We don't have to forget all the things that we believe were wrong or very upsetting in our relationship. But our commitment needs to be to present as a, with mutual respect, because that's going to help us make a new way of getting along with this person so that we can really understand what can we talk about and what can't we talk about. And then you learn to only interact in the ways that you really can do so productively.
Interesting. So we're transforming that chaos, as you say, into calm. And by the way, I don't know if we mentioned the website off the top. Tell us how we can contact you before we continue.
Sure. My website is the centerforfamilyresolution.com.
Perfect. And also, you can book an appointment right there to get started. And love that. You also offer a free gift, real-time parenting. Could you share a little bit about this guide for parents?
Absolutely.
Is that
Jill,
still, are you still giving away a free chapter of that?
I'm probably going to leave it on my website for anyone who
Okay,
wants it,
cool.
because I taught parents basic parent communications and discipline for 20 years. And throughout that time, I never had the perfect book to use. So I wrote one. So two colleagues and I wrote Real-Time Parenting. And in this book, we start with yourself. Who are you as a parent? What's important to you? What's your personality like? And what are your priorities? Then we do the same thing with the child so that we can parent the child in front of us rather than the child that we imagined or hoped they would be.
Yep.
And then we get into all the skills that are research based, that are time tested about how we can maintain a connection with our
Okay.
child and focus on the relationship while still being the parent. We're the authority in our home. We set the rules and the rituals that are going to support that relationship and keep everyone safe.
Wow. Well, thank you for sharing
Mhm.
that. And again, the Center for Family Resolution, offering parents coordination, helping, coaching, helping with divorce, and so much here, and even the meditation, right, or mediation, I should say, between the
Mediation.
two.
Although, you know
To,
what? Mediation and meditation go
sometimes
very
you
well
need both.
together.
Thank you, thank
Absolutely.
you. That's what I meant.
Yeah,
All right. Well, what other area did you want to kind of dive into next for everyone? Thank you.
sure. Jill, I'm really having fun these days helping people have conversations about the political divide. This is 2024. We're going to be hearing it probably every day for a long time, many months ahead. And the same skills that apply to conflict with co-parents applies when we're looking at our relationships and not letting the political divide come between us. My husband and I don't agree on politics. We follow this
Mhm.
every day where we set boundaries, we check in with ourselves to see
Mhm.
what we're really willing and able to talk about, and we make sure that we don't engage in any conversation
Wow.
if we really don't have an air of mutual respect.
Interesting. So
Yeah.
that is a very mature adult-like way to handle things.
Oh,
That's
I
the way
don't
it's,
like being mad at him. I
but
don't like having, I don't like having, I I don't like having the kind of disagreements that leave us feeling really hurt or disconnected or offended. I love having intelligent debates and, really having fun with it, but only if we're really grounded in that sense that we want each other to walk away feeling good about the conversation and learning something.
well, that is beautiful. Not all couples can do that so
Mhm.
easily. So, yeah, how do you speak to your partner and address that? Hey, it's okay to have different opinions. It's okay, without them getting upset. I mean, you have to have two very mature adults for this.
Well, I
Yes.
wouldn't give us that much credit.
Ah,
What
okay.
I wouldn't go quite that far, but what I do think we do right, Jill, is we check in. So if I want to bring up that I just heard something on the news that was, really activating me that I wanted to talk about, I don't just dump. I don't just launch into it.
Mm-hmm.
My husband does the same thing. We check in. We say, like, do you want to have a conversation about this?
Uh-huh. And you're
And
like,
I love it. My husband loves it that he has permission always to say, no, not really. Why don't you call your friend? And I'm happy to do that. But we do that checking in rather than just assuming that that other person is going to hold some kind
nope.
of space for us to process or think or explore an idea or react to something. And, we're two people with our own agendas. And so just doing that check in makes sense at work, it makes sense at home,
Yep.
and with your children, even young children. We check in and say, hey, is this a good
Hey.
time to talk about getting your teeth brushed better? We don't just assume that because there are children that we can force our own agenda.
Got it. Well, thank you for sharing that. And at this time, we do
Mhm.
have to remind everyone how we can contact you again.
Mhm. The Center for the Center for Family Resolution.com.
Perfect. And also, do you mind just going back a little and telling us about you, what brought you here into this field in a sense? And I got to
Sure.
read some of your background, but let's talk about it if you don't mind.
Jill, I did it all wrong. I spent the first literally 40 some years of my life thinking that if I just put on a smile, try to be agreeable, that I'll be able to get along with anyone. And you know what? Sometimes it worked, but at the end of the day, it ruined my marriage. And I was really heartbroken a lot because I knew I wasn't connecting to people the way that I really wanted to. And so I was faking it. I was trying to just be this
Mm-hmm.
easygoing person, and it doesn't work. It's not authentic. And so I ended up completely breaking down, like literally in a ball on my bathroom floor, before a friend was kind enough to throw me in the shower and then tell me, you know what? You can do better here, Amy. You can start to tell the
Mm-hmm.
truth. And we're going to start with really small things where you learn to say, I don't know. And you learn to say, I'm not so sure. Let me think about that. You don't have to have complete clarity and confidence before you start to have real conversations. And
Mm-hmm.
so, Jill, unfortunately, my story had a lot of heartache in it. And I look at my life now and I really wouldn't change a thing because I love where I landed. And I really love being able to help a lot of people in a much, with much more ease, go through the hard times in their life, being a
Mm-hmm.
radical truth teller.
I love that part about it, just being honest sometimes, right? And unfortunately, a lot of times that
Yeah,
could hurt people's feelings, but it's good to be truth teller, truth seekers, truth
right.
sayer.
But we don't have to dump.
But
We don't have to do it in a way that
that's,
doesn't show any consideration for the other person. We need to own
hmm
it as our story or our perspective
yeah,
and leave room for looking at what the other person needs as well.
it's so true.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And you mentioned the fear of missing out, right?
Mm.
I have that. I have to be everywhere with all the kids. Yeah. Uh,
You may be an extrovert like I am, Jill.
exactly. I can't like tonight. Last night we had the Waverly PTA dinner at Applebee's because it gave back to those for the PTA. Oh, tonight we have the glow party. I'm everywhere, and people say it's
Right.
too much, and I'm like, that's all I know though. It's a lot, but I like
I,
it. But does it
I
wear me down? Yes.
Well, let me ask if the same thing happens to you that happens to me. I'm such a joiner. This is one thing that happened as I was growing my business is I joined so many groups and had so many people, helping me and supporting me that I never followed through as much as I could have
Yep.
with some of the advice I was given and some of the new, maybe it was a marketing strategy or a new message that I was trying out. And so what I found is I got pretty scattered. And so I've learned as I've, aged
Aged.
and
Yeah.
gotten a lot of experience to take it easy, to slow down. We don't have to jump on every opportunity, but really check in with our gut, see where our energy is, and just lean into those opportunities that are really energized for us.
Beautifully said. Thank
Mm,
you so much. All
mhm,
right. Well, we still got 7 minutes left in your show. There's still a lot that you do that you can help some
mhm.
people. And I like also hearing if you want, share us a story or two of, someone that you've helped, Amy. I believe seeing is believing, it's good to know
Yeah.
that people are, being helped and obviously they're saying great things. I'm perusing your
Oh.
website as we're talking, so I apologize. But do you want to share a story or
I
two?
love it. So I have a story every day. Yesterday, I met with a mom who has never raised her child. Her child was
Mhm.
raised by someone else, and the mom is now recovered from her addiction. She's, has not had a relapse for, I think it's been about 18 months now, and she's ready to get back in her son's life.
Mhm.
And the mom and the person who was caring for her son had a lot of arguments about what was going to go forward because they couldn't agree on what happened in the past. And
Okay.
so, in working with them, I was able to offer enough structure to them to let them know that even though I was able to hear each of their stories, they weren't going to hear each other. And that was okay. Let's just relax back into your own story, go forward and make a plan so that mom can start seeing her son again, even though she and the caregiver will never, never see eye to eye on what happened in the past. And they were
Mhm.
able to do that because I was able to validate their own story and help them really feel what it was like to develop an attitude of mutual respect, even though they don't like each other. So
Yeah.
literally, they have a plan for the son and mom to get together with a mutual friend. They're going to go out to breakfast, and
Ah,
mom couldn't be happier that she's going to get to start spending time with her son again.
no, that's wonderful.
Very
That's what it's
dear.
all about. It
Very
really is. And
dear.
it's about,
Yeah.
look, life is too short. We've learned this time and time again when we see people and family members and friends around us pass early. The pandemic came,
Oh,
we lost so
right.
many, lost, let alone people, family, friends, coworkers. We lost job, we lost sanity, there was
Right.
craze. It's just, and you know what? In those moments that make you say, hey, slow down, like, wait.
Right.
Life is so precious. Let's live that best life and do everything possible to be happy. So I'm
Yeah.
I love this. I think it's
COVID
great.
really pulled back the curtain on a lot of family dynamics.
Yes.
And
And were you in practice then during
I was
this?
in practice then, and there were a lot of conflicts that came up when children were doing their learning at home, especially with parents that had full-time jobs, and the parents may be arguing over who was going to help the child because they both had so many other things they need to be doing to keep the family finances flowing. And so we got to really use COVID as an opportunity to retool a lot of family dynamics. And one thing that happened, Jill, that was kind of cool was a lot of families learned to help their teenagers take charge over their own schoolwork rather than, the teachers always being right beside them to direct them or a parent to be right there beside them. And I helped a lot of families develop their educational plans that let the student have a lot of say over when and how things were going to get done. So of course
Mhm.
they needed to get done, but it really was more responsibility for the kids. And it was really beautiful when families were able to take the time and have some difficult conversations about how it was going to look for the teenager to be a little bit more responsible for their own life.
Got it. Well, thank you so much for joining us, for being here, Amy. Looking forward to another show soon, which I think we're back anyway, but we're going to do another show too.
Awesome.
Remind us how we can contact you. And do you offer like an initial discovery call if someone's interested? Is there a charge? Is there an initial 15 minutes? Everyone has something different. I just want to put that out there.
Yeah, sure. We're happy to do an initial consultation to just check in, and we want to make sure that we find the right professional and the right service for anyone that checks in with us.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much. And by the way, I know you're in Ohio. Do you work with others out of your state too?
We have people even out of the country.
All right,
have,
good. Just making
Mhm.
sure everyone's
Thanks
well
to
aware.
Zoom,
No,
right?
I know. It's amazing. All right. The Center for Family Resolution.com. Check it out. In the meantime, well, we'll be right back with more. So don't go anywhere. Amy, pleasure getting to know you further. Great to see you here. And we'll talk soon. Have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jill.
Bye-bye.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.